Hello everyone, thank you for joining. I am Jisary and I welcome you to my channel where I do all different kinds of creative content. Ah yes, it is this time of the year. The days get shorter, the trees turn yellow, and weirdly dressed people walk around outside. I personally like Halloween, not for the dress-up or parties. I really don't like partying. But I like the themes, the vibe, and the content that gets created during that time. And I also like that the weather gets worse as it makes it easier to play video games without feeling bad about it. So, for today I want to join into this fun. Many years ago I drew this witch artwork. The goal was to draw a Halloween-themed picture with intense lighting, and I must say that I liked it back then and I think it still holds up. But since then I have never drawn this character ever again. So I thought this Halloween might be a good time to get her back into the spotlight. But I didn't just want to make it a redraw, because I do them very often. I wanted to spice things up just a bit. So I thought about what else could I do? Many years ago, I had the routine of drawing seasonal chibi versions of some of my characters. I am not sure when I stopped doing this, but I haven't drawn in a chibi style in ages. So, this sounds like a good time to include this as well and draw a cute, Halloweeny chibi witch, am I right? This time I want to make a full illustration. Nothing too fancy, but I want to include the whole body with a nice pose or prop and a supporting background. My witch wasn't designed very thoroughly back then. I basically came up with her design on the fly. So I will work her out a little more, as for example I never designed her shoes. I thought about making the picture pumpkin themed, but this is what I do for Halloween all the time, so no pumpkins this time around. She is a witch, so why not give her a broom? Maybe she's even flying on her broom? This gives us a simple sky background to play with, and we can give the picture a nice flow with the hair and her giant head. I will give her over-knee boots that fit to the style of the rest of her outfit. And I will make the cloth around her hips the same texture or material as the shoulder pads. I will also try out some new brushes this time. I always wanted to have a less cleaner looking outline style, so I will use a different brush to make the outlines this time. I really like the design of her hat. I will also draw the eyes a little different than usual, just to try stuff out. Whew, I never took so long to create basic scribbles and make some outlines. Not sure if the reason is that there are so many details, or if I'm just very slow today, but it took over an hour, which is unusual for me. I'm also not too happy with how the outlines look, to be honest. But I will stick with them for now and see how they look when I add the colors. Maybe it improves. Also, I am afraid that if I start over, I would abandon the piece altogether. So, let's commit to it and embrace it as well as we can. For the base colors, I will stick mostly to what I used in the original. I like what I picked back then. I will just make the picture a little lighter and more saturated in general, as this fits better to a chibi illustration. I will fit the colors of the boots to the rest of her outfit. And I will change the coloring of the hip cloth for the reason I stated earlier. On the front of the broom I added a glass sphere that glows. As a witch at night I thought this could work like a nice looking light to be able to see better. Like it is on cars, just because she's using a broom. Plus I can give it a different glowing color that fits well to the soft bluish light of the moon shining from above. This makes for more interesting lighting. After the base colors, I add the shadows. I will not do anything really new here, just define the forms of the character with some basic shadows. I will keep the shadow color neutral as I am planning to add more intense colored shadows later. The ones I am currently doing are just to define the character and head room better. And I will follow the same technique as usual, mostly adding hard shadows and softening them here and there, depending on the surface. Afterwards I do the same for the lighting. These 2 steps also took a long time to do. And I have to admit that while I was working on the piece, I gradually started disliking it. Up to a point where I had to force myself to continue working on it. Not because of the character or anything. I actually think that the character and general composition are quite cute. But the outlines just looked so bad, and with adding color it became even more and more apparent. And staring at this for hours really took a big hit on my motivation to finishing this picture. I also started messing up the layer assignments, putting too many different colors on one layer, messing up the front and back hair setup and so on. This illustration was just a mess, and it took so much energy out of me. But I wanted to finish it, so I kept going. I tried to take the pressure out and just told myself to have fun with it, Don't think too much about the result or the quality. Just try to enjoy what you're currently doing. It helped a bit. Enough to get it done at least. After finishing the basic shadows and lighting, I added the more intense shadows and lighting. I do this by adding a layer that covers the complete character over all of the other layers and then set it to multiply. Then I delete the areas in which there is actual lighting. I prefer this method over actually drawing in the lights. I like the look of it and the intense and interesting contrast it creates. But I also added some specific lighting here and there from the glass ball in an orange color. I liked the effect that it made. I added also some reddish lights where the moon and glass ball lights would overlap for dramatic effect. Playing around with lighting and shadows is always my favorite step of coloring. So after being able to mostly ignore my disdain for the outlines, I started enjoying the process, at least a little bit. And there we are. The horrible illustration is finally over. Kinda fits to Halloween that this, worked out as it did. Let's move it aside and never talk about it ever again. But for real, some art pieces are just not meant to be. Since I started working on my video game and learning other softwares, I didn't draw much. And I was really looking forward to drawing again for this video. But I have to say it was not enjoyable at all. I hope this isn't a precursor for one of these art block sequences I tend to fall into sometimes. Especially around autumn I tend to get into art block, not sure why. But I know that I really don't want that. But I'm still proud of myself that I was able to finish this piece. Normally I would have tossed the picture to the side on the pile of unfinished art that haunts me. Which would be fitting to the Halloween theme as well, I guess. And in the end I even fixed some mistakes and tried to improve it a little. The outcome isn't great, but it could have been far worse. Whatever. So, how about you? Did you draw something for Halloween? Are you going to parties and dressing up? And if so, as what? I think if I would dress up, I would dress up as Battle Angel Alita. Wear the black full bodysuit with a coat and paint myself the cyborg details into the face. Maybe dye my hair black. She's one of my all-time favorite characters. And the costume would be easy enough to make. I can't sew, and I don't like the quality of most pre-made costumes you could buy, so I would try to do something easy but cool. However, I am more of the hot coffee wrapped in a blanket on the couch type of person, so this is likely what I'm going to do this Halloween. Maybe watch some horror movies or horror let's plays. I'm really into horror stuff. Plus playing video games, of course. So, no matter what you do, I wish you all a great, cozy, and or spooky if you want, Halloween. Have fun, whatever you do. Stay healthy and comfy until we meet again.